Hi, AniQuest here. This is my recap for the anime Remonster. If you dig my recaps, don't forget to subscribe and smash that notification bell. We are introduced to Kanata, who straight up screwed up by going on a date with Crazy. And if it wasn't obvious enough, those 30 stab wounds ended him. So Kanata gets his way in the worst possible way. But things don't get any better for him in his next life either. When he wakes up, he sees this old, ugly goblin staring at him. He doesn't get what is going on, but it seems like he has been reborn as one of them. The elder gives him a new name, Goblin. Then the old man shoves a big juicy maggot down his throat for that extra protein. Since Goblin is just a baby, he can't talk or refuse anything. By the second day, he wakes up and finds himself surrounded by a bunch of ugly green babies. He gotta face the reality that he is just as ugly as them. He comes to terms with the fact that he died, and now he is stuck as this weak and helpless baby. So he spends the rest of the day crying over the loss of his fine human face. By the third day, he realizes goblins seem to grow up faster than humans. But that doesn't change the fact that he is still bald. At least he is able to move and talk again now. So even though it ain't ideal, he decides to make the best of this new life and go out to face the world. On day 4, the now mostly grown goblins meet with the elder once more as he's holding a platter of maggots for them. He calls them freeloaders, so from today on, they gotta find their own food. Goblin ain't too thrilled about willingly eating maggots, but it's pure protein, so he gobbles them down regardless. After that, he gotta step out into the big, wide world all by himself. As he leaves the cave, he sees a dope-ass world with all kinds of plants and animals he ain't ever seen before. There's another goblin who follows him, and he is scared as hell because it's his first time outside. So Goblin tries to reassure him, saying it's his first time seeing this place too. The other goblin is named Goblin, and even though he ain't the brightest, Goblin decides to team up with him for one really important reason: he got them bulky genetics, so he gonna help with the hunting. They spot a rabbit in the forest, so Goblin sends Goblin to go after it head on. The rabbit starts running away from him, but that's part of the plan. Goblin set himself up in a nearby tree, so as soon as the rabbit was in range, he jumped down and snapped that bunny's spine with a stick. This hunting strategy is hella effective, but once they catch the bunny, Goblin starts getting greedy for more meat. So Goblin gotta smack some sense into him and show who the boss is. After giving him a solid dose of tough love, Goblin starts prepping the bunny for their dinner. He snaps off the corn, and after checking it out, he realizes he can make a decent weapon out of this thing. Just then, he sees this notification in his head, and he don't know what the hell to make of it because the elder never gave him any tutorial on this. But before he can think too much about it, Goblin all recovered and is ready to chow down on his share of meat. Goblin give in and bring out the meat, and Goblin gobble that shit up with mad gratitude. On the 5th day, the two continue their hunting strategy, and Goblin has successfully implemented the rabbit horn as a weapon. As he takes another horn from the rabbit, he gets another notification in his head. But he still ain't sure what the hell it means. He sits down to munch on some meat, but as soon as he takes a bite, his eyes start glowing blue, and he finds out he has acquired an escape skill from the rabbit. It all clicked for him now as he remembered that in his past life, he had this rare ability called absorption, which let him have a shot at taking in the abilities of whatever he ate. Even though he still got absorption, it seems like all the other abilities he gained before got reset because he was in a new body. It's still pretty damn lucky that he got to keep a skill at all, so he's cool with how things turned out, since there are plenty of monsters creeping around in the forest that he can eat to gain power. By the 6th day, Goblin already started attracting girls with his bomb-ass meat. She is straight up amazed that he and Goblin managed to snag them horned rabbits when others died trying to do the same. And since she actually got hair, it confirmed that goblins can have follicles, but Goblin and Goblin are just bald as hell. Goblin asks if she would like to participate in their hunt for the next day, and she is overjoyed at the offer. But on the 7th day, it rains so damn much that they gotta postpone the hunt. Since he ain't got nothing else going on, Goblin decides to peep what they got stashed away because he has never been back there before. But he ain't ready for what he about to see. He finds a group of human women kept as prisoners, which just proves that Goblin Slayer has been right all along, even in this crazy world. He tries to ignore it and spends his time crafting a weapon instead. Then the Goblin Elder named Goblin comes over because he notices Goblin has some strange motivation to survive. He thinks Goblin might level up faster than expected at this rate. Gobrwa didn't even know there was a level system here, so Gobjai told him to tap his forehead so he could see it. After doing it, Gobrwa peeps that the Elder is at level 86 right now, and Gobjai mentions that if you reach level 100, you can evolve into some higher being. However, goblins age so quickly that even though Gobjai is only in his 20s, he looks old as hell. As he leaves, he tells Gobrwa that he'll get to see what an evolved hobgoblin looks like when the promising youngsters return from the village, but something doesn't feel right to Gobrwa. The next day, it clears skies, so Gobrwa heads out to hunt with the other two. They work together like straight-up pros, considering they have only been around for a week. Gobmi holding it down as backup, Gobrwa taking care of business from a distance, and Gobkichi leading the way up front. They can get themselves a large haul of meat, and Gobmi is brought to tears as she takes a bite due to how thick and juicy the meat is. Gobrwa takes a bite too and ends up learning a bunch of new skills from that snake meat. The next day, they keep on hunting, but on day 11, they make the dumb mistake of going into some unknown cave. They find themselves staring down a massive swarm of vampire bats. They start hauling ass trying to run away, but the bats are too fast. So Gobkichi and Gobrwa decide to stay back and deal with them. They are initially overwhelmed, but then Gobrwa puts that evil eye skill he has to use and freezes all the bats in their tracks. With the bats frozen solid, they go ahead and kill every last one of them. After that, they chow down on their sorry-ass corpses, and Gobrwa gains some fresh new skills from eating that bat meat like echolocation, venom resistance, and even COVID-19. As they keep eating like kings, some of the other goblins come up to them, all hungry and shit because they are too dumb to hunt on their own. That night, the dumbasses try to take out their frustrations on him like it's his fault or something. They think he's the one with the problem, but really it's them. If they put in half the effort they put into trying to catch food, maybe they wouldn't be starving all the damn time. But they don't realize that Gobrwa has this search ability, so he can sense them coming. He fights back, and even though he ain't really trying to kill anybody, he miscalculates how much of his venom skill to use, and one of the attacking goblins ends up dead. He doesn't give a damn though, because he still want to teach them a lesson for trying to assassinate him. But then Gobmi shows up, and even Gobrwa feels sorry for them after what she does to them for attacking her precious Gobrwa. The next day, they head out to hunt again and plan a coordinated attack. The orc is minding its own damn business when Gobkichi throws a rock right in its eye. While it is blind as a bat, Gobkichi rushes in. The orc knocks him back with its pickaxe, but right after, its fingers get smashed by another damn rock. Then they go ahead and mess up its kneecaps with a club. Gobrwa finishes it off by stabbing it in the head multiple times. Once that orc is dead, they chow down on its meat. But since they had a whole lot left, Gobrwa decided they should take it all back to the cave because he had something he wanted to do. Once they bring all that extra meat back, Gobrwa gathers up all them broke and hungry goblins and tells them they can eat as much meat as they want. At first, they are hesitant, but one by one, the goblins drop to their knees and start gobbling up Gobrwa's delicious meat like pigs. As he watches them, Gobrwa thinks about how he would never have helped people out like this in his past life, but maybe being reincarnated changed more than just his body. That night, after everyone was knocked out, Gobrwa was lying down trying to do the same, but this damn notification in his head won't shut up. It keeps saying he exceeded the level requirement, so he is about to evolve into a hobgoblin real soon. But he ain't paying attention because he is too damn sleepy. The next morning, some weird shit happens as Gobrwa wakes up and sees that he looks different now. He all confused about why his appearance changed overnight. Plus, he looked way more like his old self before he got reincarnated, and most importantly, he ain't bald anymore. The same thing happens to Gobkichi too, and Gobmi, even though she stays the same, loves the new look on her friends. The elder comes over to see what all the noise is about, and he is straight up shocked to find out that both Gobrwa and Gobkichi evolved when they were born just 2 damn weeks ago. Gobkichi gets Gobrwa's attention and says he want to test out how much stronger he got, but hunting ain't gonna be enough to satisfy him. So he want to throw down and have a fight with Gobrwa himself. Gobrwa is up for the challenge, so the two head out to start their match. They start boxing in the forest, and Gobkichi is definitely way stronger than he was before. But he still lacks the combat skills to take Gobrwa down in a fight. Gobrwa is slipping under punches and sweeping his legs out from under him. Gobkichi admits defeat and gives props to Gobrwa for being so damn strong. But Gobrwa gives him credit too because when it comes to power, Gobkichi is stronger than anyone else around here. Just then, Gobrwa hears some wolf noises off in the distance, and he can tell that something bad is going to happen soon. He calls for Goblin, who was hiding nearby to spy on them, and tells her that she should go get the crossbow they had made earlier because they are going to be needing it soon. Wolves be chasing a bunch of rabbits down the hill, and once they are done killing them all, they set their sights on their next unsuspecting target, a poor or just trying to do his own damn thing. That orc starts hauling ass, but them wolves ain't letting it escape so easily. They keep on chasing it until they finally catch up and rip it to shreds. Gobrwa and Gubkichi are watching this shit go down, and they think them wolves gonna be the perfect opponents to test out how strong they really got since they evolved. Gobrwa signal to Gobmi to start firing at them wolves with the crossbow, and once the leader gets taken out, both Gobrwa and Gubkichi rush in and start smashing them damn wolves. Without their alpha, the wolves ain't got no teamwork left, so they were able to make quick work of them and slaughtered every single one. Only the leader wolf is still standing, but even he gonna give in to the wounds he got. When he collapsed, Gobrwa stepped up and opened his mouth wide, taking a massive bite out of that wolf. That shit gives him some extra skills, including one in leadership. Gobrwa takes the rest of the dead wolves back to the cave and lets the other goblins know they can chow down as much as they want. But from now on, he expects them to catch their own damn food. They ain't got the confidence for that, so they all drop to their knees and beg Gobrwa to teach them how to hunt on their own. He agrees to train them in the art of hunting if they don't know how, and if they need weapons, he gonna teach them how to make them too. That makes everyone like him a whole lot, so he becomes the solid leader of the goblins. Maybe it's because of his leadership skills, but that ain't matter to him. He will work hard to lead his comrades, and he gonna keep eating and gaining new skills along the way, all to achieve his goal. Later, Gobmi turns into a fiery lady ready to be cooked by the Lord Gobrwa. On day 17, all the human ladies that were captured, they took their own lives, and Gobru had a quiet memorial for them with Gabjai. Now we jump to day 24, and Gobru was training up the other goblins. And in the meantime, he was chowing down on any promising enemy he could find and picking up some badass new skills. But all of a sudden, another crew of goblins starts rolling up. Gobru gets ready to throw down and protect his crew, but Gabjai stops him and spills that these goblins are their raiders. Gobru's mind gets blown when he finds out these raiders are also the fathers of his generation of goblins. These raiders just went and captured another bunch of human ladies, and the evil goblins are all happy about it because their last batch off themselves. Turns out, goblin DNA is so damn strong that even when they mate with other species, they still pop out goblin kiddos. Gobru gets that whole reproduction thing, but that don't mean he's cool with what's going on. He asks if he can be the one to take care of the human ladies, but the raiders' leader ain't having it. Gobru's goblin gang is ready to back him up, but it just starts dividing the two groups. Just then, two goblin girls come strolling in and tell both sides to chill the hell out and avoid a full-on civil war. These genius girls are named Hobasto and the mage Hobse. They come up with a kick-ass idea. Have the leaders of both generations fight, and the winner gets to call the shots for the village. The raider wants to teach Gobrwa a lesson, and Gobru's down to throw hands too. The fight ends real quick when Gobru busts out some mysterious string moves. The others couldn't understand how he did it, so Gobru explains that it just comes out of his body. Turns out he learned this ability after munching on a demon spider and can produce spider silk. The girls are straight up amazed that a dude like him was born while they were away, and Gobru declares himself the new leader of the village. He asks if anyone's got a problem with that, but ain't nobody got the guts to challenge him. Gobru tells the humans that he's ordered everyone to keep their mitts off them. He ain't gonna do nothing either, and they'll find a way to send them back to a human village eventually. The girls start wondering if they gotta do anything, and we find out that Gobru's actions weren't completely selfless. The dude wants to tap into the humans' knowledge, so Gobru starts grilling them with questions and finds out these girls were part of some traveling business. When the goblins attacked, all the dudes got wiped out, and these 5 girls were the only ones left standing. On day 28, Gobru's mind gets blown when he sees them girls rockin' a happy vibe. He realizes they ain't fully healed, they just tryna stay positive cause it makes shit easier. Gobru whips up some food for them, hoping it'll help them out. Turns out 2 of the girls are badass cooks and tailors. The one with glasses is an alchemist, and the spacey chick is an appraiser and a smith, and the redhead is a rookie warrior. So Gobru decides to include her in their training later on. Gobru trains all of them hard and ain't afraid to throw some insults when they get tired. For the next few days, he focuses on group exercises instead of hunting, and he drills into their heads the new rules he sets for the crew. Day 31 comes round, and it's rainin' cats and dogs. Gobru and Gobkichi go all out in a crazy sparring match while everyone watches in awe. That night, Gobru senses that some goblins are about to break his rule about touching the human ladies. Gobru slices through one of them like a boss and puts the others in check. He reminds them about the rules he laid out and punishes one of them for talking shit. Gobru apologizes to the women, and the redhead breaks down crying in his arms. The other goblins show up, so Gobru tells Gobkichi to take the restrained goblins outside. He also has Gobmi gather the rest of the crew so they can witness what he's about to do. Outside, Gobru sends a clear message to the others by using these fools as an example. He lays a beatdown on them like there's no tomorrow, making damn sure everyone understands the village rules. They all get the memo loud and clear, so Gobru dismisses them. Gobru stops just short of taking their lives, but Habuken, the one who caught the worst of it, kicks the bucket the next morning. On day 32, Gobru's crew unleashes their sick teamwork once again to take down a badass tri-horn horse. It puts up a fight, but that just means Gobru racks up a bunch of new abilities. One of them is called Triple Burst, and it's freaking dope because it lets him land 3 hits with a single strike. That night, the fiery-haired chick crashes in Gobru's bed, and he realizes she must be messed up from the previous night's drama. Gobru comforts her and lets her stay the night, but when he wakes up, he's surprised to find Gobmi chilling there too. That day, they also discover that a female goblin named Gob leveled up into a hobgoblin. Things have been going pretty smoothly overall. Gobmi handles the ranged unit. Gobkichi leads the armed forces. Hobasto takes care of the mobile squad, and Gob holds it down in the support role, doing all the chores. Hopsei is the mage captain, but she's the only mage in their crew for now. For the rest of the day, Gobru leaves the training to the captains and heads deep into the forest to hunt some prey. He messes around with some badass demise magic and is blown away by its power. He straight up obliterates a tri-horn with a single attack. But here's the thing, Gobruwa gets a bit too cocky after that and decides to venture into the northern forest. Then he stumbles upon a creepy area soaked in blood, and he remembers that old Gobjai warned all the goblins never to go into the northern forest for any reason, because inside lurks a terrifying crimson monster known as the Red Bear, and now, that's exactly where Gobru finds himself. He sees this beast easily tearing through a tri-horn like it's nothing. The tri-horn's armor was a pain in the ass for them earlier, but this bear shreds through it like butter. And just like that, the Red Bear shows up, and Gobru knows a regular person would probably haul ass and run. But Gobru ain't no regular dude. He wants to go toe-to-toe with this beast, beat it down, and devour it to unlock some sick abilities. He's prepared to use every damn weapon in his arsenal, starting with his demise magic in Phase 1. Back in the village, Gobmi starts getting worried cause she hasn't seen Gobru for a while. The others ain't seen him either, so it increases her concern. Meanwhile, Gobru's mind gets blown when the Red Bear sacrifices its right arm to block his demise spell. The bear launches a relentless assault, and Gobru knows the badass armor he got from the tri-horn won't be enough to protect him. Gobru switches to the offensive and aims for the bear's head, but damn, his weapon can't even scratch its skull, and the bear sends him flying. Gobruwa covers the bear with a string, but that sucker breaks free and pulls out a wildfire breath attack. The whole forest goes up in flames, and Gobruwa gotta heal his wounds. This attack got him because he ain't never seen or heard of a bear breathing fire in his past life. This opponent is hella dangerous, so Gobruwa knows he gotta be ready to take some hits to come out on top. Gobruwa goes in for another attack, protecting himself from the fire breath. The beast is pretty tough on the outside, but Gobruwa cleverly uses the fire breath attack against the bear, and he pierces it right through its mouth. Gobruwa is feeling himself, but damn, it ain't enough. That ferocious bear smacks him back, and Gobruwa tries his best to minimize the damage, but he still takes a beating from that crazy powerful attack. He gotta admit that this round is a tie. At least his blade stuck in the bear's mouth so that sucker couldn't unleash any more fire breath. This insane strong bear is still going strong, and Gobruwa is just one attack away from losing his life. Gobruwa is at a huge disadvantage, but this guy is crazy as he proclaims that it would just make his meal taste even better. Gobruwa keeps fighting, dealing some damage, but it ain't enough, so he straight up tells the bear he is ready to devour it, and goes in for another attack. But damn, he loses an arm in the process. On day 34, Gobru finally emerges as the victor of this insane battle. but he barely survived. Finally, he gets to eat the bear and gains a bunch of badass traits, like heavy damage and insane strength. Gobrawa passes out soon after, but we once again see that he exceeded his level values and met all conditions. This now allows him to evolve into a rare ogre species. His consciousness fades away, so Gobru just selects yes, without even reading the fine print. On day 35, Gobru keeps on munching that bear, gaining even more ridiculously powerful traits. He reaches for his knife, which somehow seems smaller now, and Gobrawa shocked to realize that he become an ogre. Gobrawa returns to the village, but everyone's freaked out, thinking they're under attack. They start getting ready to run, wondering why the ogre is smiling at them, and wishing Gobru was there to save their sorry asses. Thankfully, Gobmi recognizes him, but instead of being surprised by his evolution, she's pissed that he was gone for so damn long. She ends up hurting herself in the process, but she still schools Gobru. She's upset about him losing his arm, but the others are all in awe that he took down the red bear. But the one who's most blown away is Gobjai, as he points out that Gobrawa was able to defeat the master of the northern woods just 1 month after he was born. Everyone's got a million questions for him, but Gobru's just grateful he survived and made it to his new home in this wild new world. Ever since Gobru turned into an ogre, Gobmi's been straight up clinging to him non-stop. But before we get into that, our boy needs to change his clothes. He walks into the storage room, and the ladies there are shocked because they don't recognize him at first. But once he shows off his mad skills to prove his identity, they chill a bit. One of the human girls peeps this beat-up axe, and she's all stoked to fix it. And while Gobru's there, she lets him know she made a knife out of a freaking magic stone. She wants him to check it out. Gobru's impressed by her hustle, so he pats her on the head. Stockholm Syndrome must be hitting her hard because she's loving it. On the other hand, Gobmi and the redhead girl straight up hates it. They're all jealous because Gobru's giving another girl attention. Then Gobru goes over to check on the twins, see how they're holding up. But the workload they have is too much for just the two of them. So they ask Gobru if they can get some extra hands to help them out. Since they asked, Gobru decides he can tell a couple of the goblin girls to lend a hand. The twins are stoked to hear that, but even Gobru's amazed at how fast they started liking goblins, even though their whole family got wiped out by them just a week ago. He jokes that they'd make great wives, and the girls don't seem to be against the idea. But Redhead and Gobmi, they're definitely not feeling it. Next up, he checks on the green-haired girl who's been grinding on making potions. He checks out one of the vials and can tell it's straight up poison, and the girl doesn't even deny it. She made it for protection because at the beginning she planned to wipe out all the goblins by poisoning their food. But then she found out there were trustworthy goblins like Gobrawa, so she ain't gonna use it no more. The next day, Gobru realizes he can't keep up with his usual training because in his ogre state, even holding back against the other goblins nearly kills them. So he's gonna lay off fighting with them. Gobkichi takes the loss really hard and decides to go hunting to clear his head. And while Gobru's worried about him, he knows the dude needs some alone time. The rest of the day just goes on with everyone doing their usual stuff. And for once, Gobru gets to chill and pass the time by sewing next to lonely Hobsei. Even though Homeboy lost an arm in his fight with a red bear, it ain't really slowed him down much cause he's got a slime skill compensating for it. But anyways, Gobru tells Hobsei he wants his book back so he can finish reading it. But she straight up ignores him and keeps reading like he ain't even there. The next day, Gobru was chilling and grubbing on his lunch when Gob comes rushing to him, holding a messed up carbuncle in her arms. Gobru tries to heal it up, but damn, it's lost a ton of blood, so he said he'd have to ask the potion maker to whip something up to help her out. After the treatment, the carbuncle wakes up all confused, wondering what the hell is going on and who all these random people are around her. They break it down for her, and she's hella grateful because they saved her life. Even though they're all strangers, she introduces herself as Returner and spills that she got attacked by some humans not too long ago. And that's how she ended up in such bad shape. Apparently, the gemstone on a carbuncle's forehead is worth a crazy amount of cash, like 1 billion gold coins or some shit. No wonder these dudes are trying to ice her for it. Returner pleads with Gobru to help her ditch these adventurers who are after her because she knows she's on borrowed time. Turns out, Returner was an artificial carbuncle some legend wizard made a long time ago to guard his treasures. But during the attack, the core keeping her alive got really fucked up. So there was no way she'd survive like this for long. Her master held a major grudge against humans, even in the afterlife. He'd rather let his legendary treasures fall into the hands of goblins than let humans touch them. So if Gobruwa helps her kick those adventurers to the curb, she'll happily hand over all the treasure to him. This is a freaking golden opportunity, so Gobruwa ain't gonna let it slip away that easy. He gathers everyone up and drops the bomb that they're all gonna hit up this treasure spot today and scare the shit out of some humans. He asks the blacksmith girl if she's got that spirit stone knife she was talking about the other day, and she hands it over. Gobru ain't usually one for knives, but he figures it's better than rolling up empty-handed if he wants to intimidate these fools. The goblin squad rolls deep into the treasure spot that Carbuncle mentioned. Once inside, Gobru tells Gobkichi and the crew to lay low while he tries to negotiate with the humans. He starts wandering around solo, looking for the adventurers, but out of nowhere, those same fools pop up and trap him. They start grumbling about having to deal with an ogre now too, but they decide to just get rid of him fast. An assassin tries to sneak in for a kill, but Gobru peeps that shit from a mile away and blocks the strike with his bare hand. The adventurers are shocked that the assassin's stealth got busted so damn easily. But then Gobru cuts in and shouts that they up in somebody else's house right now, trying to steal their shit and even almost off the Guardian. And to top it off, they don't even think they did anything wrong. Lucky for them, Gobru's a chill dude and gives them a chance to save themselves from a world of hurt. They start swinging at him, but they're so weak that he dodges their attacks like it's nothing. He still offers them a chance to bounce before things get ugly. But damn, humans be known for their sudden lack of brain cells when common sense is involved. So even though Gobru clearly outmatches them, they keep coming at him until he finally loses his patience and gets ready to crack some skulls. It's starting to sink in for those adventurers that they fucked up messing with Gobru. But it's too late to turn back now because Gobru uses his earth magic to trap them in place and calls for the crew to jump these fools. After they finish beating down the adventurers, they strip them of everything they got and kick them out. So Gobru decides to chow down on all that loot and ends up gaining the skills of the items too. Now he can summon a badass item box that holds over 100,000 things. Since he held up his end of the deal, Returner leads Gobru and the crew to the treasure room where her master bit the dust. Surrounded by all his dope shit, this dude was the wizard Velvet, and Returner says he had mad skills talking to spirits, which is how he scored a bunch of spirit stones. Returner's time is up, so she thanks Gobru and the crew once again for their help and disappears, leaving behind her head gem, which Gobru munches on. They take a moment of silence for Returner, but after that's done, they start looting the place for anything valuable. And that new item box comes in clutch. But before they dip, Gobru feels bad about leaving the body out in the open like that. So he figures burning it would be the best move. And as he does, the body turns to ash, leaving behind a gauntlet that Gobru wastes no time putting on. The gauntlet seems to be a legendary magic item. So once Gobru puts that bad boy on his missing arm, it straight up fuses with him and replaces what's gone. This arm is straight up epic, with mad features like rotation, poison production, and even strings. But the best part, it works just like a regular hand. The next day, Gobru spends a grip of time checking out all the gear they scored from the treasure room. And let me tell you, since that stuff was collected by a legendary wizard, it's all top tier and hella powerful. So the next day, Gobru hooks up the 15 hobgoblins and the crew with some magic items, distributing the loot fair and square. He keeps this vermilion spear and a sick-ass magic bracelet for himself. So now he's rolling with 3 legendary magic items, all for his own use. On day 40, Gobru decides to set up some battles to see who's the top dog among the hobgoblins. The next day, he heads out early in the morning to hunt down some prey he's never faced before. First up is this golden spider, and he straight up one-punches that sucker. And after chowing down on its meat, he gains a new skill that lets him create golden threads. As he keeps trekking through the forest, he ends up under a tree bathed in light. Now, this is a bit of a problem because it's the turf of these creatures called dryads. They prey on dudes from intelligent races and lure them in to be their food source. Gobjai gave Gobru the lowdown on them, and he personally wants to get sucked dry by dryad. But Gobru would never go for something so luxurious. Or at least, that's what he tells himself. Because the second a dryad shows up and starts getting all up close and personal, Gobru folds like a cheap suit. He tries to play it cool, but then he remembers he's still a virgin in this world. And all rational thinking goes out the window as Gobru unleashes his sacred skill, the golden carrot. The dryad is straight up blown away by what she sees, and let's just say a whole lot of wild stuff goes down in the next 5 hours. And when they finally finish, The Dryad is begging him to come back soon for more rounds. Gobru heads to a nearby waterfall to wash up, but out of nowhere, a whole squad of lizardmen roll up on him for no damn reason. So he straight up wipes them out, along with anyone else dumb enough to try and throw down. The next day, Gobru finds out there are 2 goblins in the crew who got the skills to become mages. So he sends them to get trained under Hobsei. But he ain't feeling the vibe when he peeps Hobsei's face thinking about teaching other goblins. Now on some other shit, all the girls in the cave suddenly got beef with Gobru, and he can't figure out why because none of them want to say. So he goes to the green-haired girl, because she seems like the most level-headed one around here. So she tells him that everyone is mad because they know he has been getting down and dirty lately. The Dryad marks on his body are hard to miss, so they jealous he didn't pick them first. Even the green-haired girl feels the same way, but rather than take the jealous silent treatment approach, she chooses to be a little more proactive with her feelings. Now we know Gobru be folding like a soft blanket in these kinds of situations, but Gobmi ain't letting it slide unless she gets a piece too. And turns out, everyone else thinking the same damn thing. A whole lot more went down that day, to the point where Gobru had to put up a soundproof wall in his room. But hey, what happens behind that wall, stays behind that wall, you feel me? And trust me, I ain't saying a damn word. Sometime later, Gobru senses someone coming their way, and it turns out to be a bunch of fancy-ass elves. The humans are about to attack them, thinking they can snatch their treasure, so these elves come begging for the goblins' help. This elf dude's got a real nasty attitude, but he's offering them a whole couple of months' worth of food for their village. Gobjai thinks it's a sweet deal, but Gobru surprisingly refuses. He ain't giving a damn about their situation. He just wants them to be real with their request for help. That dude gets ready to attack Gobru, but damn, Gobru terrifies them all with one fierce-ass glare. Gobru warns him to tell his hidden archers to back off. But these idiots try to shoot at him anyway, not realizing they can't even scratch Gobru. The elf calls off the attack, and Gobru explains why he's rejecting their offer, simply because he wasn't in a good mood. Anyway, the goblins live in the same damn forest, so if these humans are gonna cause trouble, Gobru ain't against teaming up. Then Gobru blows everyone's minds by busting out his legendary weapon, intimidating all the elves at once. Gobru doesn't even fully get how the damn thing works, but when he stabs something with it, he can create a limitless amount of spears that can go as far as 100 meters. Then the elves run off scared shitless, so Gobru hopes he won't have to deal with their sorry asses again anytime soon. On day 45, Gobru goes on a hunt and takes out 20 gray slime. He eats their cores and gets a whole bunch of abilities, like fluid regeneration and auto-replication. Gobru gives auto-replication a shot and figures out he can make a tiny version of himself from his own blood. He can even see through its eyes, meaning they got some sorta linked senses. This sparks a genius idea in Gobru's head. On day 46, he has the girls whip up some clothes with his blood in the lining. That way the fabric can double as a transmitter in case they ever find themselves in some deep shit. On day 47, one of Gobru's mini-scouts discovers that those damn elves didn't learn their lesson, and they came back for more. This time, Gobru unleashes a deafening roar from deep within the cave, and the elves are so scared, they can't even move a muscle. Gobru doesn't even bother saying a word when he emerges. He just snatches them up like it's nothing. The elf boss starts whining about how Gobru disrespecting him hurt his damn pride. And apparently that means Gobru deserves to die more than once. The other elves though, they apologize for not being able to stop their boss from being a dumbass. Gobru's made up his mind, and it's a harsh one. The boss elf is already as good as dead, but the rest of them got a chance to survive. Gobru sets up a mock fight between the elves and the goblins, and the ones who come out on top get to live. Gobru figures it's only fair because if they want to stay alive, they gotta fight like their lives depend on it. In the end, out of the 23 elves, 6 of them get their asses handed to them. The funny thing is all of them were dudes, but Gobru secretly admits to himself that he kinda rigged the fights because he ain't like seeing women get eliminated. Then Gobru decides to have a little snack, munching on the loser elves and gaining a whole bunch more abilities. He drops the bomb on the survivors that they're now his prisoners. They thought they'd walk away scot-free, but Gobru reminds them that they still tried to wipe out the goblins. Gobjai, that old pervert goblin, thinks having elf prisoners will be one hell of a good time. But Gobru reminds him that there are rules about touching prisoners. Gobjai promises to behave, but he's desperate as hell for just one round. Then Gobru goes off to deliver some final punishment to the elf boss. On day 48, we see that Gobkichi hits level 100. On day 49, everyone is amazed to see that Gobkichi has evolved into a special variant. His dark red color is the result of a blessing from the demigod of flame, and his iron heart skin is a blessing from the demigod of war. Gobkichi explains that Gobru ain't had nobody to spar with since he became an ogre, and Gobkichi was worried he'd never catch up. But now Gobkichi's different, and they have a badass spar outside. Gobru still kicks his ass in the fight, but damn, Gobkichi actually holds his own pretty well. In the end, Gobru comes out on top, but the match proves that Gobkichi is truly his rival. That night, Gobru is worn out as hell, when suddenly some weird figure shows up. This thing starts apologizing for who knows what reason, and hands Gobru a gift, saying it's the least he can do. Gobru wakes up all confused, having no clue what the hell just went down. On day 51, Gobru starts wondering if Gobkichi has been an inspiration to the others because now they got themselves 4 new hobgoblins. One of them even got the skills to be a mage, and another one's gonna be a cleric. This cleric goes by the name of Hobuji, promises to heal as many folks as possible. Hobsei's gone through some evolution too and leveled up to become part of the Lord family as a half spell lord. Most spell lords don't have those dope markings on her arms, but Gobru notices they look just like the ones on his own body. Hobsei's got so much freaking mana flowing through her, she's itching to test her strength outside. She shows off her insane power with a mind-blowing fire attack and says she could pull off at least 20 more of those. That's some next level shit. But what's more surprising, she's only a half spell lord for now, and she'll probably evolve into a full spell lord next time. Gobru hooks her up with some fresh gear to match her evolution, and she tells the jealous Hobasto that she will catch up real soon. Gobru realizes that evolutions have been happening like crazy lately, and he suspects it's all because of him. See, a goblin's environment during their first month of life has a major impact on how fast they grow. It's pretty damn cool to see everyone getting stronger, but Gobru admits that not everyone in the village is so lucky. On day 52, the older generation of goblins start bitching and moaning. They've been trying their damn best to keep up, but all these young goblins are leaving them in the dust, so they decide to peace out from the village. And you won't believe it, Gobru doesn't even kill them for betraying him. He explains that they ain't stealing nothing, so it's their damn choice if they want to bounce. And to top it off, Gobru actually gives them a farewell gift, a badass magical knife made of metal with a wicked sharp edge. On day 53, Gobru comes across some poor human who got taken out by an orc. The dude was pretty much done for, but after Gobru ate him, he discovers the guy had some real interesting ability. Gobru hopes to use it in a way that honors the guy. This ability is called Monster Tamer. That night, Gobru's happier than a pig in shit because the alchemist reveals she's managed to whip up some booze. On day 54, Gobru announces that the older generation of goblins has dipped out of the village and he offers anyone else a chance to join them. But turns out nobody else wants to leave, so they all raise a glass for a toast. On day 55, the freaking genius Gobru starts working on making earrings infused with his own blood, so they can use them as communication devices. On day 56, Gobru finds out those earrings work like a charm, so he makes enough for everyone to rock them. On day 57, Gob straight up took down a Trihorn, and Gobru decided to test out his Monster Tamer ability he got from that human dude. And damn, it worked like a charm. The Trihorn became their first familiar. Now on day 58, turns out Gobru's got a dope-ass Great Bear familiar too. He's also got the leader of a pack of black wolves as his pet, and the ultimate bodyguard for the human ladies. But on day 59, Gobru gets hit with a major shock. That weak-ass redhead girl from before. She's transformed into a straight-up badass warrior, and while they are eating, Gobru gets surprised when she finds that she just got a new job. A little while later, she shows off her mad hunting skills, and Gobru spills that her new job is a shadow soldier. Basically, she's gotta chow down on monsters every so often or she'll kick the bucket. But damn, it leads to some insane growth. Later on, Gobru gets word that the humans are attacking goblins in the forest, so he realizes that it's nearly time for the war between them and the humans. Now on day 60, Gobru senses some kobolds being chased by something he can't even detect with his search ability. When the kobolds make it to the cave, they see that the pursuers are these magically animated skeletons. Gobmi's archers try shooting them, but their arrows do jack shit. There's a crazy amount of skeletons, so Gobkichi fears that things are going to get really bad. But Gobru's search ability lets him peep that there's one major signal behind all those skeletons, probably the thing that's creating them. The others try fighting off the skeletons, and Hobasto's attack makes Gobru realize something. Cutting them up don't do squat, but smashing them to bits is incredibly effective. They all drop their weapons and start bashing those suckers left and right. But there's still way too many of them, so Gobru decides he's gotta end this shit. He starts counting down in his head as he plows through the skeleton army. He finishes 3 seconds early, but he manages to crush the monster that was spawning all those damn skeletons. Eating that thing gives him the ability to summon lower undead and materialize high-tier equipment, among other sick powers. After all that, the kobolds apologize for their screw-up. Turns out they accidentally dug into Velvet's treasure stash, which the goblins raided earlier, and they woke up the Guardian, the big bad skeleton. In a last-ditch effort to survive, they hauled ass to Gobru's cave, who has become known as the terrifying Black Ogre. Now these kobolds call Gobru their lord, but he straight up reminds them that he has eliminated plenty of their kind. But they're mad grateful he saved their sorry asses, and they get that it's the law of the jungle, the strong devour the weak. They owe their lives to Gobru, so they declare that what happens to them from now on is totally up to Gobru. Gobru gets it, and he has their cleric check out their wounds. Then he takes a look around at everyone in his cave. He ain't got a clue how it all went down, but he's gathered himself one hell of an interesting crew. On day 61, my boy Gobru goes hunting with Gobkichi, and they peep 12 armed soldiers rolling through. They decide to follow them, and Gobru uses his eavesdropping skills to listen in. Turns out these humans are planning to snatch the chief's daughter of the elves, and seems that one of the elves tipped them off. When the chief's daughter comes back from a festival, the humans launch their attack. They take out her guards like it's nothing and grab her. Gobru ain't about to just stand by and let that happen, so he swoops and saves the girl and captures all the humans. On day 62, my man finds out the human army is gonna strike in 20 days. Gobru goes ahead and chows down on all 12 of those humans, gaining a bunch of dope abilities. When the elf girl wakes up, she's all terrified of Gobru. He notices she's got wings, which ain't usual for elves. Gobru tries to calm her down, but she's freaking out, thinking he's gonna do some messed up stuff to her. Eventually, she chills a bit after sipping some calming tea, but she gets pissed when Gobru tells her he couldn't save her guards. She blames him for just watching while they got attacked, but he explains that the human-elf war ain't his damn business. Gobru lets her know there's a traitor among the elves, so she should be more upset about that. She starts crying like crazy, so Gobru tells her to get some rest before they take her back home. That night, Gobru has to remind the old perv to keep his hips away from the elf girl. On day 63, they bring the girl back to her elf village. She explains that wings are something only high elves have, but they usually keep them hidden inside their bodies. They ain't meant to be shown to others, but she's still learning how to control them, so they pop out sometimes. When they arrive, Gobru senses 25 archers aiming their arrows straight at him with mithril heads. Luckily, the chief's daughter steps up and tells them the ogre saved her life. The chief shows his gratitude for saving his daughter, but Gobru makes it clear he didn't do it out of pure goodwill. He wants a reward and figures this is his chance to see how the chief judges things, and we see that the chief rewards him with a bow called the Failnaught, a family treasure and magical item. The daughter's shocked he'd give it away, but the chief explains it's a small price to pay for her safety. Gobru's cool with that, so he offers to give the elves some intel on the human army's movements in return. The two crews are all cool now, and the elves hooked up the goblins with a load of mithril gear. The chief asks if they know anything about their missing elite fighters, but Gobru plays dumb, acting like he ain't got a clue. To show appreciation, the chief even gifts Gobru some top-notch liquor. Gobru promises to have their backs whenever they need it, and that night he's blown away by how damn tasty that alcohol is. On day 64, Gobru's hella surprised to see that Gobmi leveled up and became a Dampier variant. On top of that, they got 8 new hobgoblins rolling with them. Gobmi's got some fresh powers now too. The ice god blessed her with the ability to create and control massive amounts of ice. Her evil eye can even charm enemies into fighting each other. Gobru feels like he recognizes her new look, but he can't quite put his finger on it. And Gob also evolved and is now a half-Earth Lord. Earth Lords can control the ground and make their bodies stronger. She even got lightning magic to spot gems. And as for Hobasto, she evolved into a half-bloody lord. He can straight up control blood and turn it into weapons. Also, all these evolved goblins have tattoos for some reason, and each one in a different spot. They claim those tats give them power, so Gobru's eager to learn more about them. Because of all these transformations, Gobjai decides it's time to give them all new names. And there's this chart showing the power rankings of different races, where Ogro comes in 5th, trailing behind the Dhampirs and Lords. Ogro knows the elves gonna come calling for help when they go to war against the humans. He knows they need all the help they can get, so he hands out communication earrings to the new crew. The elf girls they got captured ain't feeling it, though, because it's hella taboo for elves to mess with their ears. But Ogro ain't discouraged. He's gonna work his wild ways to change their minds. Ogro brings the new crew along for some training. He busts out his summon lower undead ability and summons a bunch of skeletons for some hands-on sparring. He even decks them out with armor, because the better the armor, the stronger the skeleton tends to be. The elves struggle and lose most of their fights, but Ogro's still stoked because trust is being built within the group. On day 65, Ogro done figured out that if he uses less mana, he can create regular-ass skeletons, zombies, and other undead. He is wondering what they damn taste like, but it's a bummer he can't eat them, but they are good for practicing though and gaining experience. They get purified as soon as the daylight hits, so not being able to use them during the day is a real buzzkill. Ogro's crew now be rolling deep with over 100 members. The kobolds are in a pretty low spot, so they gotta hustle harder than everyone else. After a fight, Ogro is worried that Gobfu is chowing down too much on rotten meat, but she thinks it's the best. On day 66, Ogro got Earth to seal off the cave exit where the skeletons were coming out. He also sent the kobolds on a hunt to get more wolf familiars. The kobolds work faster than expected and bagged 20 wolves. On their way back, they run into a badass boar, and Earthy straight up destroys it. Later, the Forge Girl reveals she upgraded the axe that Ogro messed up while fighting the red bear. She modified it with a mix of spirit stone, iron, and mithril. Ogro is impressed, and the Smith Girl reveals she has upgraded into an elemental smith. On day 67, Ogrekichi spills that he has been having a crush on Earthy. Surprisingly, Ogro already knew, so Ogrekichi explains he needs help because he don't know what to do. Ogro comes up with a plan for him and wants Ogrekichi to make his move that night, hoping for good news in the morning. That night, Ogrekichi straight up tells Earthy how he feels, and she seems to take it well. The next morning, Ogrekichi is feeling light on his feet and stronger than ever in a match against Ogro. Ogrekichi landing more hits than usual, and Ogro was glad things went well for his boy. Turns out, Earthy talked to Dombi about it the day before, so Ogro and Dombi set the stage. Ogrekichi had become so damn strong and energized lately that Ogro had to swap himself out and let the black skeleton spar with him. After the training, Ogro's usual crew went on a hunt. They stumbled upon a bunch of insect monsters Ogro ain't seen before, and damn, he gained even more abilities. The dopest one is called the exoskeleton. Ogro used it and was straight up shocked to find he turned into one of the badass transforming superheroes. This new exoskeleton is tough as hell. It can repair itself and absorb impacts. It is a little too flashy for Ogro's taste, but Dombi thinks it looks hella cool. Ogro tries to rock his old threads again, but damn, he ends up butt naked. Turns out his regular clothes got used to build that dope exoskeleton. It's a damn shame because he was feeling his outfit. It was made from the pelt of that red bear. But Ogro realizes that this exoskeleton thing is even more lit because it lets him unlock 5 different forms. One of them used the red bear, so now he can unlock others. After thinking it over, Ogro decides he wants forms for air and sea battles. So he starts by registering one from the bugs, so he can sprout wings and fly. It's a bit tricky to control though, so he gonna need some practice. Day 69 comes, and it's pouring like crazy. This fiery redhead wants to throw down with Ogro. She's been making steady progress, so she's been asking for more training lately. Ogro thinks back to when she was like a little puppy, but now she's more like a full-grown Doberman. And for the Smith Girl has been meeting up with the elves regularly, so they can brainstorm ideas for new weapons. She's working on a repeating crossbow, but things ain't going too smooth, so Ogro tells her to switch gears and start making them. Ogro hooks her up with more materials and hopes she can whip up a new weapon for him. The chef sisters even got a new title called head chef. Ogro had them try to recreate dishes from his past life, like potato chips. After that, Ogro meets up with the alchemist to talk about making magical items. She shows him this bone nail she made from the black skeleton's bones. This thing can freeze anyone it strikes in place. The other girls catch Ogro getting cozy with the alchemist, but he and I will not talk about what happens next. Day 70 comes, and some elves roll up representing their chief elf. These elves pass by their old crew on the way, but Ogro's earrings got this sick illusion effect that makes them look like dark elves. The elf kid spills that the humans are making moves. The elves can't handle them solo, so they need Ogro's help. They don't care about the price, they just want the enemy wiped out completely. But here's the deal, if Ogro backs out, the contract ain't worth jack. Ogro takes the job, but explains that they will do it on his terms. He tells the kid to give the elf chief a bracelet, so they can stay connected. Info is a powerful weapon, and Ogro's got his blood minis scouting the woods. He gathers everyone up and announces it's time to put all their hard work to use. From this day forward, they're gonna be a badass mercenary company. They're a crew of professional fighters now, and everyone's digging it. Ogro decides they're gonna roll as the Parabellum Mercenary Company. He tells everyone to get ready for battle because they got their first job, and they all start chanting Parabellum. On day 71, Ogro's Parabellum crew kicks off their first mission. They deep with a total of 36 members, and with Spelsay's sorcery, their pet monsters could join them for a total of 73. They roll out early in the morning based on some intel one of Ogro's minis snagged. There's this barrier around the human army base, but Ogro uses some attribute on his silver arm to wreck that shit. Once the barrier crumbles, Earthy steps up using her earth-controlling power to block any escape routes for the humans. Dami and Spelsay take the lead, unleashing a coordinated magical barrage. Ogro is summoning a horde of skeletons, and throwing in some spears for good measure. But damn, he's surprised to find out that ain't enough to wipe out the humans. There's this Lady Knight leading their defense, so Ogro gives her a proper introduction to himself with a roar. The humans can tell the Black Ogre is controlling the undead, so the Lady Knight declares they're gonna take him down together. The human mage starts the attack, and Ogro is impressed when the Lady Knight buffs up her speed. He complimented her for assessing the situation and the mana she covered herself in. Even her strategy to stab his heart out is smart. But ain't good enough, because Ogro just pushes her back. Then Ogro announces that he likes what he sees, so they all gonna live as his prisoners. The Lady Knight wasn't having it, she just wanted him dead. Ogro gives her props, but she says if he wants her as his prisoner, he gotta show his strength. If she gets defeated, he can do whatever the hell he want. Ogro tells his crew to take out everyone except the Lady Knight, the sorcerer, the priestess, and the swordswoman with a fire sword. They gotta be captured alive, but the rest can get wiped out and eaten. Ogro then explains to us what happens next, which is a one-sided slaughter. Dombi's charmed evil eyes charm the hell out of the human soldiers, making them fight each other over her, and Ogrekichi straight up overpowering the fools. Blitzato uses her power to turn blood into weapons, and Earthy follows up with her skills. They manage to defeat the enemy without losing a single one of their own, but the Lady Knight did get one good hit on Ogro. It barely does any damage, but just reaching him is impressive as hell. Right then, the human mage gets ready to unleash an attack and begs the Lady Knight to get the hell out of there. Spelsay peeps that mage's attack is a 5-level spell, and she's straight up worried that Ogro might not be able to handle that shit. And to make it worse, the Lady Knight is sacrificing herself to make sure Ogro takes the hit from that magic attack. The human mage apologizes and admits he can't hold back no more, so he unleashes it. But Ogro declares he already won, as he ain't intend to let the Lady Knight die. Then the Lady Knight watching in awe as Ogro skillfully throws up a magical shield. And Spelsay's mind is blown away too, because that shield requires him to combine 3rd level demise magic, a vacuum shield from his silver arm, and some other abilities. Ogro had to pull out all the stops, but he managed to block that dragon spell attack. It's a total victory for Ogro's crew, and he making it known that capturing all those powerful fighters is a big damn deal. Ogro throwing a feast and gaining a crazy amount of abilities. Afterward, the elves celebrating the victory. Ogro heading to check on the new prisoners, but they weren't doing too good. On day 72, Ogro breaking it down that with his earrings in place, the humans can't lie or hide anything anymore. So they scored a ton of info, the elder elf asking for that info and offering to pay with some alcohol. And of course Ogro jumping on that offer. Using the item Ogro sent him, he's sharing the info he got from the prisoners. That includes the secret routes the humans planning to use for the next ambush, where they're gonna hit the elves from all directions with their massive numbers. Armed with that knowledge, Ogro's crew moving around the routes, setting traps, and chilling in a trench. The human troops are led by fully armored knights, and there are about 500 of them. And to top it off, there are 100 wizards in the mix. Ogro explaining that if the elves went head-on against them, it'd be one hell of a long and tough battle. But for Ogro and his crew, it's pretty much just practice. Ogro kicking off the attack, his crew cutting off escape routes and dropping their numbers with boulders. They go from 500 knights to 300 in a hot minute. Pit traps and arrows keep whittling them down till there's less than 100 knights left. Then Ogro is impressed when the commanding knight tells his troops to build a wall with any damn thing they can find, bringing the fight to a standstill. So Ogro sent Ogrekichi to throw down with their commander. The humans of course fought back, but Ogro sent in enough warriors to make sure every damn knight was wiped out. The only thing Ogro wonders is if Ogrekichi will be able to hold himself back. But Ogrekichi starts wrecking the commander, and the commander can tell that everything about Ogrekichi is insane. Ogro gives props to the commander for putting up a good fight, but in the end Ogrekichi comes out on top. And just like last time, Ogro throws a feast and gains a whole bunch of abilities. Ogrekichi points out that the commander reminded him of Ogro, but Ogro doesn't see it. And out of nowhere, Dami shows up and drops the bomb that she wants to have Ogro's baby. On day 74, the night prisoners think being captured alive is more humiliating than death. Their commander tells them to chill, because they got food and a place to crash, so it ain't all that bad. The knights call out the commander for being from a commoner background, saying he wouldn't understand. And this whole prisoner thing is a damn shame to noble folks like them. Later, Ogro has the commander spill on why the humans are attacking the elves. Turns out the whole mess started because a princess got hit with a rare disease that's fatal 99% of the time. She is bid to a king of another empire, so he orders that a cure must be found. The humans found out about the elves' secret medicine, made with the blessing of some demigod of the forests. The whole damn war boils down to human greed. Later Earthy is tripping when some crazy shit goes down during a mining session. Everyone wonders if they're getting attacked, but it turns out the water just created a hot spring. Ogro excitedly lets everyone know that it boosts their healing powers and clears any nasty ailments. Plus, it's a balm for the skin. Everyone enjoys all the perks of their new bath, and Ogro gives props to Earthy for digging it up. On day 75, Ogro got some concerns, so he came up with a new training plan using the human prisoners. The idea is to have them work on their leadership skills by running simulated battles with real soldiers. They gotta give orders to their soldiers who are geared up and ready, and they win if they can beat the leader of the other group. Ogro himself chills on the sidelines, playing the judge. For example, Spelsay is giving orders to the defensive troops, and Dami taking charge of the archers. Dami and Spelsay looking pretty strong in the leadership department. But Ogrekichi and Bludsato can't score any wins. The humans watching and can't even make sense of what's going down since it's goblins practicing military shit. The commander says he's done playing around with bones and was hoping to throw down with Ogro one-on-one. Ogro is impressed by his courage. This dude still want to challenge him even if all his buddies keep losing. So Ogro starts having some respect for the guy he calls the Steel Knight. Then the dude gets shocked when Ogro covers him in mana. Ogro explains that he'd wipe the floor with him if he didn't level the playing field a bit. Ogro unleashes some of his power, and the knight gets hyped because it's clear he's down to fight. Ogro goes at him, but the guy never stands a chance because Ogro straight up wrecks him. Ogro heals him up, and Ogrekichi declares he wants to fight the Steel Knight too. As Ogro watches them brawl, he can tell that Ogrekichi is also got inspired by the Steel Knight's spirit. Later, the dude explains he comes from a place with a bunch of demihumans, so it's easier for him to communicate. The Steel Knight notices the diverse range of races Ogro gathered and can see that he got them organized real well. He even starts wondering if Ogro was sent by some divine intervention. Then the guy quits being a knight and announces he wants to fight for Ogro. Ogro accepts, which means he ain't a prisoner no more, and Ogro plans to put his talent to good use. Ogro puts the redhead under the Steel Knight's wing and tells him to teach her some badass human combat skills. Later, the elf elder agrees to take care of the wounded humans. Ogro wants to know about the secret medicine the humans are so desperate for. and the elder says that it's the same medicine he gave Ogro before. Apparently this medicine is a freaking game changer. It can cure almost any damn sickness. Ogro can't believe the old elf gave him something so damn valuable. But the elder explains that their laws only forbid sharing it with humans, not with the ogre who saved his daughter. Ogro decides to try the medicine for the first time, and it gives him a weird-ass sensation, and also blesses him with a whole bunch of crazy healing-related abilities. Ogro decides to give a drop of his blood to one of the injured humans. The dude is straight up shocked because not only does his injuries heal up, but his back pain is gone too. Ogro is blown away too because it just hits him that all this ability gaining shit is getting hella wild. He just healed this dude with a single drop of blood, so he can't help but wonder what would happen with more. This kind of power is on a whole other level, so Ogro thinks he might have leveled up into some seriously insane territory. On day 81, Ogro's crew is getting ready for their third showdown with the human army. Ogro straight up snipes someone with a damn spear from 300 meters away, and then taps into its power to produce an endless supply of spears. The battle's over in just 20 minutes after that hit landed. Ogro then uses his slime to clean up all the dead bodies. It's a messed up sight, but everyone agrees that Bloodsato is a little off because she seems to be enjoying it. The next day, the elves start whispering to each other because Ogro brought some humans along to meet the elder. Ogro assures the humans that the elder is nicer than the other elves, and it turns out to be true when the elder hooks them up with drinks and grub. The elder is stoked that Ogro has pushed the human army to the edge, but he ain't looking for a drawn-out fight. So he wants to send his best troops into the next battle to put a decisive end to the war. And since the elder is paying Ogro, he's cool with it. On the way back to the village, the Lady Knight straight up tells Ogro that he has her complete devotion, so she would like permission to fulfill her duty as a knight of the kingdom. She asks if he's down to send some secret elvish medicine to the kingdom to cure the princess. Ogro thinks about how it'd be hella beneficial to have the kingdom in his debt, but there's a problem. In this world, there are 5 gods being worshipped, and they're crazy powerful, which leads to a ton of religious conflicts. Ogro's blessed by the god of demise and origin, so if someone like him provides the medicine, it could cause even more problems. But he seems to have an idea and tells the knight he'll think about it. Day 83 is the day of the final battle. There are 2,000 human soldiers, and with the elves joining us, Ogro's crew is numbered at 650. This battle ain't gonna be like the others because if they just rush in, they'll straight up lose. That's because one of Ogro's blood minis found out something the day before. The humans got a group of 8 badass warriors known as the Rugald Orden. These dudes are seen as the ultimate fighting force because all 8 of them are blessed by the gods. They ain't just strong on their own, they also boost the power of those fighting alongside them. So the more allies they got, the more dangerous they become. But Ogro ain't even sweating when he hears about them. He's just wondering what they'd taste like. It's battle time and Ogro straight up summons his squad of skeletons. Dombey wondered if that was a good idea since the sun would come up soon. But Ogro explained he made some tweaks to the skeletons. He tells Ogrkich's crew to hold down the perimeter while he takes his skeletons straight to the center. Ogro kicks off the battle, and damn, the humans are straight up shocked by the sheer number of skeletons. The humans know they just gotta wait it out because the sun's gonna rise soon, and it does, so they're relieved thinking they can push those skeletons back now. But they're in for a surprise because the skeletons don't disappear. Turns out Ogro coated those skeletons in some slimy stuff so they can throw down during the damn day. The skeletons hold their own, but Ogro sends them to help out the others because he's decided to finish off the remaining soldiers himself. As he powers up for a crazy attack, Ogro's thinking about how the whole damn army's gonna fall apart once he wipes out those troops at the center. Meanwhile, one of the Braves makes his way over, but he's pissed because he's gotta be part of this boring-ass war. He thought the troops just needed to fight harder, but they remind him they ain't as strong as him. When the Brave sees Ogro powering up, he realizes this battle might actually be interesting. The troops are straight up shocked as they watch Ogro gather a bunch of water and blood, and then he unleashes his attack, straight up destroying everyone. The fights made Ogro hungry as hell, so he starts chowing down. But then the casual kid interrupts him, wanting to throw down next. Ogro heard about this dude, knows his name's Filippo, the Bone Bug Brave. But Filippo doesn't like it when someone he doesn't respect calls him by his title, so he gets all riled up. This kid's got some wild-ass eyes, so Ogro figures that means he's been blessed by the god of demonic insects. The kid's pissed at Ogro because he ruined his damn vacation or some shit. Ogro can see the kid's acting like a brat, but the pressure coming off his body makes it crystal clear that this kid can seriously fight. Filippo can tell that Ogro's got some kind of blessing, so he wants to know what it is. But Ogro ain't saying a damn word. Then Filippo reveals he's got these bugs that blend his blessing with some necromancy stuff. He tosses them all over the place, explaining how he can make corpses move around. These ain't your regular zombies though, because they can handle the sun. Ogro figures these bugs are some kinda messed up biological weapon. Filippo goes on to say that there's a big difference between braves and heroes. Heroes be way stronger on their own, and the fighters they boost also get a major power up. But heroes can only boost up to 10 people. Braves on the other hand can boost hundreds. Just then Ogro gets his mind blown when Filippo transforms the corpses into freaking monsters. Filippo commands them to attack, but Ogro ain't fazed. He starts tearing them apart like they're nothing. Filippo's impressed, seeing how Ogro smashes them up with ease, so he decides to personally take control of the monsters. The fight gets tougher, and now Filippo's amazed at how damn fast Ogro can heal. Filippo gets ready to use something that Ogro won't be able to bounce back from, so he summons a massive centipede. This thing straight up crushes Ogro, and the kid explains it's his favorite pet. That bug's so famous it's been labeled a natural disaster. It's super dangerous, its venom causing death with just a tiny bit of exposure, paralyzing your organs. But the kid's in awe because Ogro's survived for so long. Ogro's crew starts worrying, as the venom has clearly started to take effect. They're all surrounded by enemies, so no one can help. Filippo praises his pet as it drags Ogro's lifeless body to him, and he sends it off to finish its other task. He's pretty damn sure the fight's over now, so he's thinking about dissecting Ogro's body to figure out what blessings he had. He looks around for someone to help move Ogro's body, but he's shocked when Ogro straight up disappears. Then out of nowhere Filippo barely dodges an attack from Ogro, and he's wondering how the hell he managed to survive. Ogro ain't giving no explanations, so the kid assumes he used a fake corpse or some shit. Filippo's pet's already hella far away, so he decides it's time to bust out his first secret weapon. Filippo wants them to introduce themselves formally, but Ogro ain't ready for them to know who he is just yet. Filippo steps up and introduces himself, letting everyone know he's ranked number 7 in the whole damn country. But before he can finish his little intro, Ogro straight up interrupts with an attack. The kid goes through a crazy mutation and pushes Ogro back. Now Filippo's all pissed off because Ogro made him use his second secret weapon before he could even unleash the first one. The kid goes through a full-on transformation, but that just makes him look even tastier to Ogro. This is because he believes a good meal takes some effort. They start throwing down, and Filippo's shocked to see that Ogro can dodge his attacks while fighting back. It's mind-blowing because Ogro hasn't even gone through some epic awakening thing. Ogro has no clue what the hell that awakening is, and Filippo ain't spilling because Ogro ain't cooperating. But that's cool with Ogro because he knows he can make the kid talk. Ogro drops the bomb that he's got his own bug transformation, but Filippo doesn't believe him. Ogro uses his exoskeleton power to transform, and Filippo's amazed because this dude always seems to have something up his sleeve. They meet in the sky for the fight, and Ogro sends the kid crashing down to the ground. Ogro's crew finishes clearing out an area, but Dombi's got a real bad vibe about something nearby. Filippo explains that he's had a blast, but it's time to call it quits. Ogro ain't letting him escape, but the kid says it ain't his call. He takes off claiming he's a damn fast runner. Ogro chases after his bug ass, but he's gotta stop and take out the skin corpse that's moving around without Filippo. The kid manages to get away, but Ogro swears he's gonna eat him one day. Dombi rolls up relieved as hell to see Ogro's doing fine. He explains that he sent a replica he created on a little mission while he was throwing down with Filippo. He gave it some stealth power, so it sneaks up on someone and tells them not to move a damn inch. Turns out the person it talks to is the future king of the country and the big shot in charge of the Royal Armed Forces. The replica tells him they ain't got no damn interest in keeping the war going. The commander wonders who he is, but the replica just tells him to check his armor. The commander straight up loses it when the replica explains that the vial holds some secret elvish medicine that'll cure the princess. The replicant coldly pointed out that their troops can now finally stop sacrificing their lives for nothing. Meanwhile, Ogro knows he could have easily taken out the future king, but he knows that would have led the kingdom to unleash their full force and wipe out the elves. He ain't down for an all-out war, so he decides against it. Ogro has Earthy set up a defensive wall so they can get their injured folks to safety. Nearby, some humans are straight up terrified when they come across Ogro. But he tells them to keep moving because the battle's done, and nobody else needs to lose their lives. He starts thinking about how there are more important things that need handling. That night, we find out that 30 Parabellum members lost their lives in the fight. It's a really damn sad moment because they gotta be properly laid to rest. In this world, there's a risk the dead come back as zombies or ghosts, so they gotta be cremated. The others get all emotional as they offer prayers for the brave warriors who fought their asses off till the bitter end. Everyone reacts in their own way, but Ogro ain't feeling particularly sad. He does, however, feel the need to hold on to his life as tight as he can because they can't do it anymore. On day 84, we found out that the recent battle scored everyone some top-notch experience, and that led to some sick evolutions within Ogro's crew. Habuji was all about that healing game and evolved into a half-Saint Lord. Now he's got this dope half-Saint Lord skill called Shell Field that can even be durable enough to withstand 20 strikes from Ogro. Hobfu turned into a ghoul because she's all about that spoiled food life. She's been chowing down on nothing but zombies, and you are what you eat. She's all hyped talking about the guys, and Ogro's kinda scared of what's going on in her head, but then he gets spooked by Hobmi's eyes without a face, so he asks her to keep them shut. She never really had the skills for direct combat, but now she's a Daramki, a race that's all about illusory magic for combat support. She's got some useful abilities, and Ogro's pretty damn sure she'll outperform even him when it comes to gathering intel. Things are going so damn well that even some of their weaker hobgoblins leveled up and became ogres. This crew surprisingly pledges to get stronger in honor of their fallen comrades in battle. Ogro's hella surprised because goblins are usually all about themselves, but these guys are actually mourning their lost homies and using that as motivation. The leader of the kobolds also leveled up and became a warrior kobold. This dude claims he got a fierce appearance just like Ogro, but Ogro thinks he looks more like a mafia boss who just discovered cosplay. He even got himself a true name, and now he goes by Tsuji. The old man Gobjai breaks it down that true names are special names given to individuals of a certain level. If an enemy learns your true name, they can cast some spells and curses on your ass. It's a bad idea to go around telling people your true name, because it's like giving them your ass. But the kobold leader decided to share his true name with Ogro as a sign of his unwavering loyalty. So Ogro decides to call him Akita from now on. Ogro's contemplating what to do with their prisoners, and he decides to set them free. Those who ain't got nowhere else to go can join Ogro's crew on a probationary basis. Some of the prisoners ain't feeling it because they think they're better than the rest. After all, being a probationary member means they're lower than a goblin. Shit gets heated as the goblins get insulted by that statement. Ogro admits that the 3 prisoners are stronger than goblins, but he trusts the goblins who've been training with him since day 1, more than some randoms who just showed up. Ogro tells the 3 they can bounce if they want, but they'd rather prove themselves. They want to throw down with the leader of the mercenary group, and if they win, they want to take control. These fools mistakenly thought Dombi was the leader and find it hilarious that a big-ass ogre like Ogro is actually in charge. Ogro has to calm down Dombi and agrees to play along with these fools. Ogro wants to take on 2 of them at once, and they call him cocky. Everyone's amazed when they show off their weapons, and that perverted Gobjai dude shows up all out of control, watching the fight with his hand. He explains that they're using orb weapons, and some of the other crew members might be able to use them too. These orb weapons give the users a major power boost and repair themselves when damaged. Ogro straight up obliterates the attackers in an instant and beats down anyone else who dares to challenge him. But then shit goes down when Ogro gets knocked back, and everyone's shocked. This dude who looks like Gorilla declares he's the new leader, but Ogro sends him flying. Ogro explains that the dude did a good job sneaking up on him, so he let him land his attack. Only the half-damper dude is left, but he's nowhere to be found. Ogro eventually finds the dude asking Dombi to be his wife. Ogro beats his ass relentlessly, thinking about how the fool hitting on Dombi right in front of him deserves an even worse beatdown. There are some other badass-looking races among the probationary members, but they're grateful to be free from slavery. Ogro gives the damper dude some blood to heal him, but that shit leads to the dude pledging his loyalty and things get hella awkward. At the end of it all, Ogro's crew ends up with 50 more probationary members. The probationary members throw down with some of Ogro's undead, and we find out that Ogro put Ogrekichi in charge of training them. But that ain't all, because Ogro found some new smiths to work with the smith girl. The little dudes point out she's got a lot to learn, but they see potential in her. The smith girl ain't too fond of them, but dwarven smithing is top-notch in this world. They might even be able to whip up some mithril gear, so Ogro asks the smith girl to give it a shot. Ogro recently learned this ability called synthesis. He experiments with an orb and it works like a charm. Then he uses Chaos of the Dead to create a monster. But the damn thing doesn't listen and goes wild, so he has to take it out. He starts using synthesis to cook up new abilities. He combines weakness to sunlight and weakness to light damage to make weakness to sunlight damage, but he regrets it. On day 85, they start renovating their base. They prioritize the hot springs so they can offer them as a service to their elven allies. On day 86, Ogre uses the probationary members to test out the synthesized abilities. That way, if there's an accidental fatality, there'll be less drama. But Ogro thinks he might have gone a bit too far. On day 87, the dwarf smiths present Ogro with their finest work, a special warhammer. But Ogro can't quite grasp their explanation of what makes it special. Shit's changed a lot since Agu was born. Now he's gotta hide his presence when strolling through the woods, because creatures run away from him. Ogro meets up with the Dryad again to pick something up, but the other ghosts tell him that he will pay dearly when it becomes clear that he was up to no good. On day 88, Ogro announces they're gonna plant some crops. Turns out what he got from the Dryad were a bunch of magical seeds for fruits and veggies. They grow faster than the regular ones and taste better while being more nutritious. On day 89, some of the rookie recruits bounced back to their homes. Even the highborn prisoners dipped, but not before Dombi brainwashed them. Now they got spies on the inside, gathering info from both the kingdom and the empire. The human army started pulling out, so the elf elder gives props to Ogro for his help. They throw a big-ass feast to celebrate, but Ogro wonders if it was a smart move inviting him. The elder knows their rules say they should shun outsiders, but Ogro and his crew are their homies. The elder explains that his younger brother broke their code a while back, venturing out of the forest to find a connection to the outside world. The elder just wanted to make sure their forest would be a safe haven for him to come back to, and it's all thanks to Ogro. The elves get all emotional, and the party keeps going. When they get back to their base, Earthy digs up the last of the spirit stones as a thank you to Velvet and the Carbuncle. Ogro decides to chow down on this final batch of spirit stones, and it blesses him with a whole bunch of new abilities. After that, Ogro gets to work on some serious crafting. He fuses together the bones of black skeletons and adds some replicant material to protect against sunlight. And boom, he creates what he calls a skeleton centipede. Ogro plans to use it as their ride when they take the human girls to a human town. The human girls start freaking out, thinking they're getting kicked out. But Ogro reminds them that he promised to bring them home when they first met. Even if they decide to stay, Ogro wants them to head back before making any decisions. On day 91, they finish constructing the upgraded hot spring. The knight notices that the redhead is all distracted during training, and she confesses she's worried about going back to a human town. The knight stays out of it, but reassures her by saying that Ogro doesn't seem to be in a rush to kick her out. On day 92, the girls gather some stuff to hustle in town, and in that moment, Ogro realizes that having these girls around, sharing their knowledge with him is a damn blessing. On day 93, they throw a party to help everyone get acquainted. Those three fools from earlier are some loud-ass drunks, claiming they'll do whatever the hell they want when Ogro hits the town. But they do drop a piece of info. Both the kingdom and the empire look down on demi-humans, so they'll need someone from a noble family to help them get in. That obnoxious red dude offers his help, but Ogro turns him down. On day 94, Ogro splits everyone into 4 groups. Their mission is to gather info about the outside world, handle any shit within the squad, and level up. But most importantly, Ogro wants them to make sure nobody dies. On day 95, everyone gets ready to hit the road. Each one shows off their unique quirks, and Ogro tells Ogrekichi not to go wandering off alone. With that, all the groups set off. Ogro reflects on how much he's learned living in the forest, but he knows he's got to keep moving forward, because there's still a ton of badass prey out there, just waiting for him to devour them. On day 102, Ogro and the crew finally pull up in Trine City. Now this place is known for being hella cool with demihumans, but when they peep Ogro rolling in his skeleton edition Lamborghini looking all shady, Everyone straight up loses their minds and gets ready for battle. But the girls manage to break it down to the guards, so the whole mix-up gets sorted out. Ogro gets the green light to handle his business in the city and rent out a room. Once they settle in, he gathers up all the human girls for a real talk. While they chill in town, he wants them to take this time to figure out if they really want to stay here or not. He's cool with whatever decision they make, even though he wishes they stick with him forever. But let's keep it real, the only reason they all here is because they got straight up kidnapped and locked up by the previous Goblin generation before. Moving on, the rest of the day's plan includes the other girls hustling and selling their goods in the city, while Redhead shows Ogro the guild building so he can get registered. Of course, when people first see Ogro, they straight up lose it because he's an ogre like no other. So Ogro just knocks them all out to avoid any unnecessary drama. Unfortunately, when he tries to register Parabellum as an official mercenary crew, the girl already passed out from shock. So since the usual reception ain't available, this old dude steps in and tells Ogro he gotta fill out some adventurer registration form if he wants to be recognized as a legit mercenary crew. Once that's squared away, everybody decides to hit up some stores and buy fresh clothes. But Ogro has other plans and disguises himself as his human form from his past life to blend in and gather intel. The others can't believe he can transform like that, but Ogro always keeps them on their toes, so they just roll with it. After grabbing a bite to eat, Ogro finds himself walking down a dark alley, and out of nowhere he gets surrounded by 6 thieves. Now for anyone else that's an ass whooping waiting to happen, but for Ogro it's like a damn dessert. After devouring those thieves, Ogro levels up with a ton of new skills connected to criminal activity, and he finds it kinda suspicious that all 6 of them were wearing rings with the same damn pattern. He figures those dudes gotta be part of some heavyweight crew or something, and he ain't trying to mess with all that, so he's planning to dip out real soon. But that's when he peeps a bunch of thieves straight up extorting a knight on the other side of the block. Now this knight brought the cash they demanded as ransom for the person they snatched. But out of nowhere the thieves decide they want more than triple the ransom, or they threaten to mess up the princess real bad. Ogro catches all of this, and normally he might have stepped in to help. But kidnapping a princess is a whole political nightmare, and he's just trying to have a chill time, not get caught up in that mess. So he ain't interested in getting involved. But when the knight realizes the thieves ain't letting the princess go, he tries to fight back only to get jumped and dropped like a sack of potatoes. The thieves were about to straight up kill the knight, but that's beyond what Ogro can let slide. So he swoops in and knocks them all out cold. Once they are at a safe distance from the scene, Ogro sets the boy down, and the boy straight up starts yelling at Ogro, calling him out for letting those scumbags live. See, Ogro don't mess with showing mercy to criminals, and he ain't about to tolerate ungrateful people yelling at their savior, so he gives the boy a solid smack on the head. Then he tells the boy he got his reasons for not taking him out yet, but if there's some serious issue he can't let the public find out about, he's free to call Ogro anytime for help. Just to make it crystal clear, he reveals his true ogre form, making sure the boy knows this offer ain't no joke. The boy's all confused, but in the end, he decides to reach out to Ogro for help. Once they link up again, the boy spills all the deets about the problem. He and the princess arrived in this town a few days back, but they kept her arrival on the lowdown for safety reasons. But this princess straight up thought it was a brilliant idea to sneak away from her guards and roam the city solo, which led her dumbass right into the hands of this criminal crew. Ogro reassures the boy ain't no need to stress because he already got the location of the crew's base locked and loaded. The knight can't even believe it, but Ogro used some of his own blood to track down those thieves he beat up earlier, so he knows their hideout is some old abandoned crib in the middle of freaking nowhere. Armed with that intel, Ogro wastes no time and target their base, ready to wipe out every last one of those thieves. And not long after they bust in, they find the princess locked up in the back room. While the knight checks on her well-being, Ogro spots some papers on the floor that straight up reveal this whole kidnapping was planned from the start. Once they outside, they set the thieves' hideout on fire, and that joint goes up in flames. Ogro tells the knight to keep this whole shebang on the down low like it never happened, and never spill shit to the public, but the knight keeps pushing to at least report something to the king. So Ogro got a call in a favor and have the knight hypnotized to keep his damn mouth shut. The next day, Ogro gets a call from Seiji, who's got good news for him. The new generation of goblins just got delivered safe and sound. Ogro's stoked to hear that, but today's the day he'll find out if the girls still want to stick with him. so he's feeling a bit tense, but let's be real. There ain't no reason for him to worry because they are already addicted to him. Ain't no way they gonna dip out on him now. They all packed their bags to head back to the cave, but right before they can bounce, the princess from the other day stops Ogro, saying she really wants to meet him. She introduces herself all proper and mentions she heard he's the leader of a mercenary crew, so she got a major mission for him. She wants him to escort her back to the royal capital. And this whole time, Ogro been hella impressed by how she talks. She's sounding way more grown up than she looks, and she ain't even flinching in the presence of a terrifying ogre. It's like her charisma stat maxed out or something. But even with all that, Ogro still shuts her down because he got other plans, and the princess already rolling deep with a gang of bodyguards. The princess fires back, saying her bodyguards are straight up boring, so she wants someone like him by her side. Ogro tries to explain why she gotta stick with her crew, but she ain't listening to a damn word, so that completely failed. The knight steps up and mentions they gonna hook Ogro up with a gold plate as a reward if he takes on the job. But they ain't trying to force him if he can't really help with the princess. But as soon as the girls hear about that gold plate reward, they start nagging Ogro non-stop to accept the escort mission. Usually a regular escort job would pay like 10,000 gold, but this gold plate is worth a freaking million. Talk about a sweet deal. So Ogro ends up saying yes because he wants to hit up the royal capital anyway. But when they are about to dip, Ogro peeps that none of the princess's guards are around, and that gives him a bad vibe. Turns out the princess straight up dumped her guards to come here solo, and now a bunch of knights are on a mad search for her. So if Ogro gets caught rolling with a princess in this situation, he could easily be mistaken for a kidnapper, but he still gotta stick to his end of the deal and escort her because he already signed the contract. And once you ink a contract, you can't break it. While they on the road, the princess starts bothering Ogro with all sorts of questions about the skeleton centipede they riding and the animals they spot in the distance. Ogro keeps his cool and answers her questions, and as for the animal, he decides it's lunchtime. He and Dombi get down to slaughtering some animals and cooking up some bomb-ass meat. He even jazzes up the skeleton centipede's look, making it a little less intimidating. But he got a lot to deal with because the princess is a total pain in the ass. She keeps putting herself in danger, almost jumping off the carriage and messing with the twins while they cook. So Ogro gotta give her a good smack to straighten her out and make her behave for once. The journey keeps going, and they stumble upon a nest of turtle snakes. Ogro's hyped because he wanna get his hands on that fresh snake meat, but nobody else wanna lend a hand in snatching the snakes from their nest. So Ogro gotta use his earth magic to uncover them all by himself. Once he got them out, he starts taking them down and tells the twins to get the sauce ready for the feast, and it looks like the princess finally got a taste of manners thanks to Ogro's spanking. She offers to help the twins with the meal prep as an apology for messing with them earlier. Ogro's stoked to see the princess finally learning how to vibe with the crew, and once the food is ready, they all sit down and dig into another dope feast. After that, they hop back on the carriage to keep rolling on their journey, and Ogro's feeling way more interested in the princess after seeing her character growth. After clocking some miles, they take a quick break, and Ogro decides to let the knight join the morning training. Since it sounds interesting, the princess says she wants to try it too. But the knight isn't feeling it because he knows training can be risky, and the princess might end up hurting herself. But the princess knows the deal encounters, saying it'd be mad useful for her to learn self-defense and be ready to handle threats. Ogro eventually agrees to let her join too, so they all train together, and Ogro picks up a few things about both of them. Later in the day, they navigate through the mountains, discussing the road they gotta take for the next day. Going straight through the mountains is the quickest, but also the sketchiest way. So the knight suggests taking a detour along the river to be safe. The path along the mountain cliffs is no joke because of these Falaise eagles, but Ogro never even heard about them. So the knight explains, saying these eagles got the strongest wings around the mountain path. They fly like lightning and have poisonous claws. That's why everyone's trying to avoid that mountain route. But soon as Ogro hears there's a powerful monster he could potentially eat, he's already decided to hunt it down. The next day, they roll straight through the canyon, and Ogro easily takes out the regular eagles, so they grub on fried eagles for breakfast. But after that, things get real. So Ogro tells everyone they're not allowed out the carriage until he says so for their own safety. Like an hour goes by, and it ain't like they don't have no faith in Ogro's ability to win, but it's been a whole damn hour since they last heard from him. and some are starting to get all worried and shit. But Dami got mad faith in Ogro's skill to take down the Jade Eagle. And even if some messed up shit happened and Ogro ended up kicking the bucket, she'd straight up go out there and either murk that bird herself to avenge him or die trying. Just then they realize shit got hella quiet all of a sudden, so they throw open the curtains to see if the battle's done yet. But damn, they straight up horrified when they see that Ogro lost his arm and that Jade Eagle is still going at him. But even though it looks like Ogro is losing, he's actually just testing how strong that eagle is. So now that he's done playing around, he gets serious, grabs his severed arm, and eats it to regenerate. And then he transforms and one-shots that damn eagle. After the bird's dead, Ogro finds some spirit stone inside it, which apparently is a super rare drop. The girls tell him not to eat it because it's worth a whole freaking country's worth of gold. After that, Ogro eats some of that Jade Eagle meat and gains a bunch more skills and a whole new transformation from it. But while he's still checking himself out, the princess rolls up with another question. She had been watching Ogro for a while now, so she wondering why the hell he always eats everything he kills. Ogro has been asked this shit before in his past life, but the answer's still the same. He eats everything he kills to carry the weight and resentment of all the souls he took out, and he ain't planning on changing his mindset anytime soon. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to not miss the next part.